page 1. We're almost at the end of Tomer Devorah. We're at the end of Perek Siri. We won't finish it today. But exciting that we're finishing Tomer Devorah, top to bottom. So I have a Shir Mirz Hashem Sunday, but then I'm going to Chutz La'aretz, which I didn't want to do, but I'm going to speak at the 50th anniversary dinner of Scheinberg's yeshiva. So it's hard to say no, especially since they sent me the reservation, didn't even ask. So that'll be Thursday and Sunday. Mirz Hashem, I hope the next Thursday I'll be back already. So
Do you actually announce that you're speaking there without asking?
What?
You actually announce that you're speaking there without asking?
No, not without asking, without me answering.
Oh.
I said no. I actually said no. Like, I'm here. I don't like to go to Chutz La'aretz. But
I knew you wouldn't turn that down.
I saw the ad in the views. It was nice ad.
yeah, I'm uncomfortable with the whole. Speak about the Scheinberg. On one hand, it's my favorite subject. On the other hand, like I don't like to speak about it. So figure it out. I just wanted to, before we begin, just wanted to point out as a good perspective, just looking through the Parsha. Actually, this morning I was listening during laning. So the Parsha begins that the Malachim came to visit Avram Avinu. So Rashi comments there at the beginning that it's like a funny thing in the Torah. Funny. Avram Avinu saw 3 men standing in front of them. So Rashi says that sometimes Rashi's not here, but Rashi later on by Yavo Shnei Hamalachim Stomos, Rashi points out that sometimes Avram Avinu calls them Malachim, and sometimes he calls them Anoshim. So Lahalon, and also earlier Karam Anoshim, same 3, right? So why does sometimes Anoshim and sometimes Malachim? Like what was going on over here? So the Rashi says, Kishahaisa Shechina Imahem Karam Anoshim. When the Shechina was with them, he called them Anoshim. When he didn't feel the Shechina, so he called them Malachim. And that was
Sounds like the opposite.
a little counterintuitive, right?
Yeah. They hung up their wings.
Do we have the heat on, or am I running a fever? It feels like there's heat going on. No? Okay. Could be me. No, I don't want anything. I just nervous about speaking at the Torah.
You're sweating already. You're sweating already.
Anyway, so Rashi says that this is I thought it was like a misprint at the beginning, right? Avram Avinu is like this. He looked at these 3 people. When he saw the Shechina, so he says, oh, they're Anoshim, they're people. When he didn't see the Shechina, he said, oh, they're Malachim.
It's a comparison. It's the comparison.
So, right? Anybody noticed this before? Rashi's in 3 places. How do I know that? Because there's a thing called Mosey Rashi, which he tells you every place where Rashi talks about it. So Rashi in 3 places makes this point that Anoshim is with the Shechina and Malachim is without the Shechina. Okay, so the pshat, the only pshat I think can be that Shechina, which we know well, is Shechina Zumalchus. Meaning the Shechina doesn't mean God. God is God. Ribbon Shalom is Ribbon Shalom. You see, even the Rambam, he's machalik, different lashonos for Hashem. There's different lashonos, and there's people that have different minhagim as to what to call God, which is something that always fascinates me. The Eibishter, Hashem, Ribbon Shalom, Ribbon Dekul Alma. I used to listen to Shiurim a lot of Rabbi Yaacov Weinberg, so he used to say that he never said Hashem. He always said when the Kaviyachol talks. Okay, Kaviyachol. That's already like you have to be a philosopher, I guess, to call him the Kaviyachol. But the pshat is the Shechina is not God. The Shechina is when Hashem's Kedusha permeates the earth, and the presence of Hashem is in this world.
You say it's
So
Ruach
you
HaKodesh?
can't have, just let me a minute, so you can't have Shechina by Malachim. It's a stira minei obey. I'm saying something, it's a stira minei obey. You can't have the Shechina in Shamayim. It's a stira minei obey. Shechina means V'asuli mikdash v'shachanti v'seicha. You have to do something earthly, and when it's earthly, then you can have Shechina. The definition of the word Shechina has to do with the earth, not to do with the Shamayim. So if you have somebody who's acquired a deep level of Kedusha, not by being otherworldly, but on the contrary, by being in this world, so Shechina imai. You see, by Moshe Rabbeinu, it says that when he spoke, so Shechina medaberes mitoich groinoi. Like, it wasn't that they heard, when they heard Hashem speaking, that wasn't the Shechina. That was the Dvar Hashem, Nevuah, something different. But when Moshe Rabbeinu spoke, it means that it was grounded, it went through Moshe Rabbeinu, and the Shechina medaberes mitoich groinoi shel adam. So Shechina is a madrega that only a human being can acquire. Also, a makom can acquire the Shechina, meaning a makom made out of bricks and mortar and wood and things like that. And you see in the Mishkan, Lashon Shechina, you see in the Mishkan, it had to be made out of almost every material, because Rav Hirsch points this out. Almost every material had to be mekudash, and what you didn't get with the materials, you got with the korbanos. So the idea is that the Shechina is that which we create. The olam hazeh, duh. Shechina is not something from that's from Shemayim. Like, let's go to Gan Eden and see the Shechina. You don't see the Shechina there. You only see the Shechina here, which is so fascinating, because it means to say that the purpose of this world is Hashras HaShechina. That's the whole thing. There is the purpose of our lives, Hashras HaShechina. The purpose is that the reason Hashem created the world is to put the Shechina, the Shochen. Hashem should be Shochen here. That's our job, is to create a Gilui Shechina. So when you create a Beis HaMikdash, a Mishkan, let's say Shechina. When you create a Beis HaMikdash, Shechina. When we live B'Kedusha, Shechina. When you create a Shul. So this is what we learned earlier, that always V'nichnas LaKnesses, the Tomer Devorah says, V'nichnas LaKnesses, that it doesn't mean that he's Nichnas LaBeis HaKnesses. He wasn't just being, Kitzer, Nichnas LaKnesses. Zu Malchus is the Tomer Devorah. The Malchus, Shechina, Knesses, it's the place where it all comes together, and that's where you have the Hashras HaShechina. See, if we do something, we build something, you live your life, and you never get the Hashras HaShechina part of it, you wasted the whole thing. It's like, it's like getting, it's like getting all kinds of computers and equipment and not turning on the Wi-Fi. Like nothing happened. What are you doing with this stuff, this hardware? Like this sort of Shechina is the software that goes into everything in this world. So Shechina, so Tomer Devorah says Nichnas LaKnesses. So it's just an important Rashi, I think, that are these visitors Anashim? Something to think about in the parsha. Are these visitors Anashim, or are they like really acquired the Shechina? Do I have the Shechina in front of me? Who's destroying Sodom? So if you look at Parak Yutes, when they were destroying Sodom, interesting, just something to think about, when they came to destroy, they were Malachim. Think about it for a second. Not because they're bad, so they're Malachim because they were Anashim, because you can't say the Shechina's in stone. They weren't here being Marbish Shechina. What they were saying, these Malachim, is that the whole purpose of the world is Hashras HaShechina. Here's Sodom v'Amorah. They're doing anything but creating Hashras HaShechina. So comes Malachim Milamala, and they destroy it. You're not doing Mekayim Mitachos, there's no Shechina here. So at that point, Avraham Avinu calls them Malachim. So watch it in the Parsha, where they're Malachim and where they're Anoshim, says Rashi, this Yisoy, that Anoshim zu Shechina.
Yaakov's dream? Yaakov's dream, the ladder?
Because that was up there.
Malachim were going
Malachim, which represented the kings and the Malchios, which are in this world. Meduyak, yeah.
Berel was also called a Malach, he was called a...
When he came to Elul, he was called Malachim. When he was being Machnas Eirich then, they were called Anoshim. There was different...
The Sar Shalesa, it says, Ish.
Ish. Okay, so just let's keep this in mind. The idea of Shechina is like really probably the most important thing of the whole Parakasiri here. So we spoke about the fact that when one comes to shul, one should say and be mechaven in the pasuk V'ani b'roi chastecha b'veisecha shtach vel heichal kodshecha b'yirosecha. So it's not just about saying the pasuk, which is a good idea, but it's about the kavanas hadvarim. So the kavanas hadvarim is I'm coming to shul. We're going through it's Amud HaShachar now. We're going through the day. We're working ourselves through the morning, and now you're coming to shul. Why are you coming to shul? I'm doing well at home. Why am I coming to shul? The answer is makom nichnas hakneses, because now it's a question of malchus. Here is a building, tefillin, tzedakah, people, all miyuchad for hashras hashchina. So I'm coming to a place which is gewaldig holy. Shechina zu malchus. And we're mechaven, we learned b'shloisha avos. The avos, remember this, that the avos, everybody knows, hein hein, a merkava. Merkava of what? Shechina. Meaning, what does that mean, hein hein, a merkava? They didn't look like the mice of merkava. But what it means is that they were carriers. Hein hein HaMerkava. They were Hein hein HaMerkava, Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. They're the ones that brought the Shechina into this world. That was the tikkun. Adam Arishan pushed the Shechina away with his ches, and now it becomes the tikkun of the Malchus to bring the Shechina back. When it's finally Mesuk and Mashiach will come. That's the final tikkun. When everything becomes Malchus Shochai, and the Kol Olam Kulai is Malchus Hashem. So it's important to attach ourselves to the avos. Again, I said last week, it's not that when we come to shul we say Shemona Esrei Elokei Avraham Elokei Yisrael. That's later on in the game. When we walk into the shul, V'ani b'roi chastecha Avraham Avinu. With his chesed, he brought the Shechina into the world. Eshtachave el heichal kodshecha, which is Yitzchak. So explain on Sunday, what's Eshtachave el heichal kodshecha? Eshtachave is the literal bowing, for sure, but it's also what happens when we bow. What we're doing is we're taking our head, which is never lowered to anything or anybody. That would be avodah zarah, to bow down to an idol, to bow down to a person, to bow down to a mountain. Avodah zarah. So you never lower your head to anybody, except for to the kaviyachol, because when you're this is the only place where I'm saying that I'm allowing myself to become batal to the malchus. A melech b'layam. Malchus is, if you want, like the Gemara says in Brachos, yarutz adam likras malchei akum. You can see Malchus, you can see an example of Malchus even by Malchei Akum, because you see the way soldiers, they're marching in uniform, they're exactly doing the same thing, they're following orders exactly, attention, at ease, everything is exactly the way. So this is Malchus, they're humbling themselves to a higher authority. Otherwise you have no army, you have chaos. It has to be. You can't have insubordination in the army. You can have it at work maybe, but you can't have it in the army. It's impossible. You can't fight a war. That's the only way to fight a war. So Chazal said you want to understand. It's just a beautiful Chazal, an eitzah to you to understand Malchus is to run to Likras Malchei Akum. Then you'll understand what real Malchus is and what Mashiach is. Malchei Yisrael is what Mashiach is. By the way, the Gemara is talking about Rabbi Yossi. It says that he used to run to greet the Malchei Akum. So which Malchei Akum did he go to greet?
Romans.
Yeah, Titus the butcher. That's who he went to greet. It wasn't greeting, Queen Elizabeth here. The butcher, the guy who burnt down the Beis Hamikdash. Titus. The Gemara in a different place talks about where they were at to greet Hadrian. It's just like the biggest Rishayim in the world. Doesn't make any difference. For our purposes, that's Malchus.
Hashem put them there.
But even more than that, Malchus could be Larad, Malchus could be Latoy. So we walk into the shul, we're walking into Malchus, and we're thinking, Ani b'roiv chastecha avay v'secha, eshtachava means I'm willing to humble myself. That's what Malchus is. I'm willing to humble myself to the Ratzon Hashem. By humbling myself, I'm being part of the Malchus, the only one we bow to. If you humble yourself to something else, then you've messed up. You messed up the whole Malchus. Avodah Zarah is more that you messed up the whole purpose of the world by worshiping Avodah Zarah. That's why it's Yahar Vayavar. It can't be. And here he says, Do Yitzchak, the Mesitre Hishtachavoya, that the mile of Yitzchak was that he was passive. He wasn't a passive guy. He was passive when it came to the Akedah, or Parsha. In this sense, he says, okay, that's my job, Malchus. It's amazing how far it goes, by the way. The Indian of Malchus, you have to think, and I mentioned this before, you have to wonder, like if you look at you read about the Chinese wars or the Korean wars, the front line, standing there, 1,000 soldiers walking, they knew they were going to get shot. They were just there to protect the second echelon.
You didn't have bullets, some of them did.
Or killed one way or the other. They were. So go home. Like, what do you do in this war? Like, what's the go home? I mean, I granted I'm a sort of a child of the '60s, but I mean, just go home. Like, what are you sitting there? What are you giving up here for? What? If they were such philosophers that for the cause. There was Yahar Vayavar, like we are big Yahar Vayavar people. We die on Kiddush Hashem and think, what are the Chinese? Like they're walking with serious nefesh, and this is true with every army. You're going to die, and even if they know kamikazes, lama, like what are they? The answer is it's not that they're nuts. What you're seeing, and this is what Chazal are telling you, is you're seeing a bechina malchus. You're seeing what it means. What are you seeing there? You're seeing what it means to be kafuf su'adas elyon, to subjugate yourself. They were talking here because of security. It just it jarred me. So, different. Should we get the guy with the gun, lock the door, all kinds of things. So we were talking about they sell these taser guns. So from 15 feet away, you can shoot somebody with an electron. It looks like Star Wars, No bullets, no anything, just electrical current that could knock the guy out temporarily. So somebody sent me the website where you buy these things. So I couldn't resist. There's a 2-minute video demonstration.
Who volunteered for that?
Who volunteered for that? Oh, so the answer is they went to the Army. And in the Army, the U.S. Army, you're not allowed to carry a taser unless you've been tasered. It's like a Musar Haska. Like you're not allowed to carry a taser unless you've been tasered. So they stand one after the other in line to get tasered with 50,000 volts. And they taser them. Everybody's watching them. They scream. All their muscles lose their function. They faint on the floor. You're like dead for a minute, and then after a couple of minutes, you get up. Next. So what are they doing? Quit. I mean, what's the? So don't carry a taser. Like what? Don't carry. I'm saying, would anybody do this? They asked every one of them, would you ever do this again? No way. Do it again. But you see, Malchus. This is the Deherem. That's my job. Soldier. I have to do it. So the Malchus of Yitzchak was the same thing. The Malchus of Yitzchak was that it's gebaked. He was willing to be mishtachave for the Kel Elyon. For the Kel Elyon. So when a person allows himself to be killed al Kiddush Hashem, that's a hishtach havoya. A beautiful thing, so Rabbi Yaacov Haber has a pirush, it's in the back of his siddur, there's a pirush on the Rambam, Hilchos Kiddush Hashem. So he says there that he heard from his father's the Chacham Tzvi. So he heard from his father, he writes that if a person decides to die al Kiddush Hashem, you go through that whole motion, and then the guy's gun doesn't go off or whatever. So in other words, you don't actually die al Kiddush Hashem, but you were mamlech HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and my words, not his, you were mamlech HaKadosh Baruch Hu by being ready to die. So even if you don't die, you're mekayim the mitzvah of Kiddush Hashem, mekayim the mitzvah of Kiddush Hashem, but that's not the Kiddush that he says. And the Kiddush that he says is that anybody who dies al Kiddush Hashem and then lives is guaranteed for the rest of his life kulei bracha and kulei slicha mechilo kapar. Like that. Kivshanaish. That was it. Like now, don't try this at home. I'm not.
Holocaust survivors in that category.
Yeah, if that was their kavanah, I mean, it's an amazing thing to think of. Like normally, you can't say, well, if you die al Kiddush Hashem, you get a good life afterwards. It doesn't work. But here's a hechatimsa of dying al Kiddush Hashem and living. So Basar Kavana is linan. So he died al Kiddush Hashem and lives, and you're zocheh. Why? So what's the svar? The svar is Omer Ani, that you were just Makabel Malchus. That means now, why shouldn't I have bracha? Everything in the world I'm doing is for Hashem.
Nothing matters.
It's all Hashem. It's all Hashem. It's not. Why shouldn't I have a lot of parnas? It's all for Hashem. Why shouldn't I have a lot of health? It's all for Hashem. Why shouldn't I have shalom bayis? It's all for Hashem. So the minute a person goes through that pu'ula of hishtach havoya, that's what hishtach havoya is. But look at the lashon here. Tomer Devorah says, "Oz do yitzchak demisitre hishtach havoya lichvayv koimasai neged midas hadin liyos nidchem mipanel." He was willing to be. He was willing to die nidchem mipanel for the midah of Hakadosh Baruch midas hadin. Oz hasha nidches mipanav. And from that point on, he was Kulei Baruch. And here's the lashon, which I just quoted for you, something like this from Rabbi Yaacov Haber: Ki yumshach shefa harachmim milamalo aleho lamatka. That once a person, here Yitzchak's the case. Yitzchak is the case of Rabbi Yaacov Haber. He died al Kiddush Hashem and didn't die. So you don't have to go. Avram, Yitzchak, closer. He died al Kiddush Hashem without dying. He was Makayim, the Rabbi Yaacov Haber, and Mamela, his life was Kulei Bracha. It became one of the Avos.
I mean, that's why we don't hear anything in his life.
It's Kulei Bracha, the Melech.
That's
Yeah.
the story.
Yeah. And here, but this lashon is Ki Yumshach Shefa Harachamim Milamala Aleha. And now, at this moment, boom, I'm being beamed in Shefa of Rachamim for the rest of my life. Lamatka, and I have Amtakis Hadinim. Again, I just make it perfectly clear. I'm not promoting spiritual suicide, bombings or things like that. That's not where I'm going. I'm just saying that if a person is willing to be mishtachava to the midas hadin. So I heard when I learned in Avat Shalom, I used to learn the Chavrusa with Rabbi Yaacov Hillel. So I just remember him telling me this, like as a thing. He says, when you come to shul in the morning, and you say Baruch Hu, the Chazan says Baruch Hu es Hashem Baruch, and then we bow down. Baruch Hashem, was the first bow. Baruch Hashem Baruch li'olam v'ed. If you're mechaven at that moment, he told me that you're taking your head, which never goes down, you're putting it below you. You're bowing down to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, meaning I'm makabel. Whatever happens today, at least, is part of the Malchus Hashem Ol Min Hashemayim makabel Ol Malchus Shemayim. So guaranteed good day. And this is what he says here. You have now Hamtakis Hadinim, the Mituk Hadin is there for the rest of the day. So that's a very practical eitzah. Now he's saying, the Tomer Devorah is saying, why do you have to wait all the way till Baruch Hu? So you see, Sephardic Jews do this. They walk into the shul and give a hishtachava. So that's the pshat in that hishtachava, but it has to be with kavanah. Just the movement doesn't do anything.
These people that have near-death experiences, it's unwilling, but after that, you always find that their whole lives change.
Should women say when you go to custody?
Lama lo. Should women say Shema? You know, be Makabal about the Shema for sure. Now, I want to, as before I go further, I just want to, this lashon here, Va'az Hashan nitches mipanav. What does that mean? We kind of like skipped over those words. Hishtach misat da yitzchak to misitre hishtach havaya lichvayv kaimasai neged midas hadin liyos nitche mipaneha. Says the Tomer Devorah va'az, and once you allow yourself to be nitche for the midas hadin, oz hasha. What's the shah? Oz hasha nitches mipanav. Should be oz, the midas hadin is nitche mipanav or something. But what's oz hasha?
Malchus, there's no time in Malchus.
There's no time in Malchus.
He's out of the boundaries of time.
Time is dead. Time is midas hadin.
Time is midas hadin. Like, Manyan, by the way, that there's some people like are very, I don't want to offend anybody, but some people are like almost ridiculously medactic and zman. Ever meet anybody like that? I'm not guilty of it, but just like time is a time.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I don't want to. But makbid on time, which is good to be makbid on time, especially if it.
There's a book.
Yeah. My feeling is that if you're wasting somebody else's time, if you're hurting somebody else, so like of course you have to be makbid somebody else. That's being makbid Rabbi Haber. But the union of being makbid on time, via Kabbalah, being so medacting in time is being medacting in din. Yeah. Just something. In other words, you're working in a midas hadin. But you find the big Hasidic rabbis daven shachris at 9 o'clock at night. He's not exactly medacting. That's what it is. Like just being, without time. Without time.
The whole Vasikim thing. The whole davening Vasikim, that's like precise down to the...
Precise. So you got to know when and what, like got to know practically. Got to know when and what. Rav Scheinberg, speaking about Rav Scheinberg, Zecher Tzadik Levracha, he used to say that when the watches used to all be pocket watches, and then they and then it became like women. Rolex made a women's watch, which was a wristwatch. That was their chiddush, that there should be a wristwatch for women. And then it took off so beautiful as a piece of jewelry. So Rolex made a men's wristwatch. So they were the first ones to make it, but now everybody was a wristwatch. But that was the first one, in whatever it was, 1920 or something like that. They made the first time that men didn't take their watch out of their pocket. They had it there. So Rav Scheinberg said that when that happened, like by him, he was already a teenager or a basket. By him, that was like a big yontiv gadol l'ramana. You have the time, like right here. You could always know you're wasting time. You could always know if you're taking too much time. He used to look at his watch while you were talking to him if you were wasting his time. He was ruthless with time. Ruthless. But then somebody, it's well known that if you go to L'chaim or Chaim Kanievsky in Bnei Brak for a bracha, and he sees you're wearing a watch, he says, take off the watch, it's Begadisha. So actually, like if you go to Rav Chaim Kanievsky, so people, Mishum Kvoidoi, they take off their watch. They don't wear their watch when they go to see him. Or not only Mishum Kvoidoi, but if he tells you to take off your watch, now you're stuck with it. Be paskin for you to take off your watch. So to get out of that shiloh, you take off your watch, however you want to work it. But the thing is, here you have two opposite, ideas of like what to do with the zman in a time. So I want to point out something that the Gemara says. Gemara in the end of brachas, and the Gemara in Erev and Yud Gimel. The Gemara says as follows. Kol hamashpil es atzmai, this is Gemara in Yud Gimel. Kol hamashpil es atzmai, anybody who lowers themselves, sort of our case, HaKadosh Baruch Hu magbiho. HaKadosh Baruch Hu picks you up. Kol hamagbiya atzmo, HaKadosh Baruch Hu mashpilo. Kol machazer achar hagdula, gedula barachas mimenu. If you're running after kavod,
Kavod.
so kavod runs away from you. Everybody quotes this from Pirkei Avos. Doesn't say Pirkei Avos. It doesn't say it. That's the only place it says. Kol machazer achar hagdula, gedula barachas mimenu. V'chol habareach min hagdula. And if you run away from kavod, gedula machazeres acharav. So says the Gemara.
Which one is this again?
Erev and Yud Gimel Amud Beis. V'chol hadoichek es hasha. V'chol hadoichek es hasha. Shah doichaktoi. V'chol hanitchem mipnei hasha. But if you let your... So doichek es hasha chaim, what does it mean? V'chol hadoichek es hasha. Just translate the Gemara.
To press time for time. Push for something to be earlier than it's supposed to be.
You push for something and it's noch nicht der Zeit.
Right.
This is called in America ambitious. It's a good thing. It's not a good thing. Kol hadoichek es hasha, shah doichaktoi. Listen to this Rashi. Hadoichek es hasha, shemisyageya lahashir. You're trying to get rich. Rashi says. Uli skadol. You're trying to become famous. V'roya sheino matzliach. Doesn't go. Try this and try that. It's a game finish. Alpha Pikain, but this guy, Alpha Pikain, chozer v'holech lemerchakim. He runs to the other side of the world. Umachnes atzmei l'gvois. He makes himself into a big gadol. Trying to make money. He's pushing it like a person. There's like almost nothing more disgusting than a person who's like marketing himself to get to become like there's somebody I know like that. Like he's marketing himself to become a gadol.
Rabbi Nachman's story about him.
Yes.
Yeah.
You don't hire a marketing person like to become a gadol. You become just the opposite. When you run away from that, then you become a gadol. That's what the Gemara is saying over here. So hadoichek es hasha, you're trying to create something which is not there. You're trying to create something which is not there. That's called doichek es hasha. So what happens is hasha doichaktoi. V'chol hanitchem mipnei hasha. It's much more difficult than the previous example. V'chol hanitchem mipnei hasha is okay. Nitchem mipnei hasha means apparently it's not right the time. I'm chilled. So nitchem mipnei hasha shah oimedas loy. See, what it does say in Pirkei Avos is you have to watch out even for Rishayim, she'en l'cha adam, she'en lo shah. So I was trying to bring this into the practical.
Medes lo mean it's waiting for him? It'll happen?
What does it mean? What does it mean? I'm not Rashi shoy medes loy lachisman. Asida lamed lo shah matzlachas. You'll be matzliach. If we have what are we talking about? Patience. If you have the patience to wait for the right moment, then the right moment will be fantastic. It'll be fabulous. But if you push the moment, no, I want my covet now. I want my money now. I want my gedula now. I want my. So in this way, it's an exact. It fits in exactly with the cases of the Gemara before. You're running after kavod.
See that when people push in line.
Yeah, you end up at the other end of the line.
But they can loans for the long
Well, no, what's that?
Somebody told me they lived at a kibbutz in the 70s. Somebody here was living at a kibbutz in the 70s. So that's when everybody was getting telephones here in Israel. So this person had a kesher with the government with this. It was like a big shot. So, I mean, when I was first married here in Eretz Yisrael, so there was a telephone on the block, and everybody came to use that telephone, and you had a little box there. They put in a shekel or a lira or whatever. Yeah, no, they're not asking about. They put in a change. Everyone had change. You pay for your phone call. Whoever was zocha to have a phone, you had to be on a waiting line for who knows how long. This was when I got married. But so this guy had protexia. So they said they're going to start giving telephone service to the kibbutz. It'll take 4 years or something like that. They'll get telephone service to people in the kibbutz. He had protexia, so he put in his thing to get a telephone. He wants to get his phone earlier. So So he told me a story that maybe a year later, all of a sudden, the Bezek or whatever it was called at the time, so they came and they installed telephones into everybody's house, except for his. So what happened? He had the guy with his protexia pulled his file out of the out of the drawer
Make it
to
special.
make it special, put it aside. So he's the only one who didn't get telephone service because his telephone wasn't in the way. So like this, when you push with the crowd, the idea of this is like doichik es hasha. Like, it's not time for you to get a telephone, so just be quiet. Just sit patiently like everybody else and wait for your telephone. Whatever's been a Shabbat is been a Shabbat. So,
It's meant to be
so
used.
that's the Gemara. So the Gemara says, that's a Gemara in Eruvin Yud Gimel. Follow me for a moment. The Gemara is repeated in Brachos at the end, very end of Brachos, Daf Samach Dalet. And here the Gemara says a famous story. The Gemara says, Amar Rav Avin Halevi, Kol Adoichik es Hasha Shah Doichakta. Same Lashon. May Avshalom. Avshalom
No, it's-
wanted to become the Melech. What an unbelievable thing. Avshalom wanted to become the Melech before David HaMelech even died. Avshalom B'nai. He was right there, David HaMelech. And Pasof, he never became the Melech. The Chiddush of the Gemara is he would have become the Melech, not Shlomo HaMelech. He would have become the Melech. He was the Yefei Naim. He was the one that had the charisma. He had Chachma also. He would have become the Melech. The problem that he did, the mistake that he made, is that he couldn't wait. He couldn't wait to become the Melech. So says the Gemara, Abu Rav Avin Halevi, Kol Adoichik es Hasha, Shah Doichakta, be careful with this, May Av Shalom. Here's a guy who forfeited his Malchus because he was impatient. Says the Gemara, but if you let the time come over you like a wave in the ocean, you let it come over you. Hasha oimedaslay. Where do we know that from? Midirabba v'Rav Yosef. And here the Gemara goes into the famous story of Rabba v'Rav Yosef. I'll go over it with you. To Rav Yosef, Sinai v'Rabba oiker har. The Gemara says Rav Yosef was doimed like Tahar Sinai, and Rabba was like Oiker Harim. So what it means is, let's put it simply, is that Rav Yosef rather was Sinai, meaning he had the information. He was a big bucky. He knew the whole Torah. And Rav Yosef had a different Mila. Rabba rather had a different Mila, that he was an Oiker Harim. The Gemara says in a different place that he was like taking a har and another har and toichanam. There's such a lamda that anything you tell him. So there's two different mitos. One is the mito of the person who really doesn't have to grind mountains together because he just knows it already. And another mito is a person who doesn't know everything but he can figure it all out. So which is the better mita, Sinai or Oiker Har? Either way, you have to know a lot of Torah, but what's the bigger mila? So the Gemara says, Itztrachaluhu shaita. So Rashi says that the Rosh Yeshiva, the previous Rosh Yeshiva died, and they had to choose a new Rosh Yeshiva. So the two candidates were the two Gedolei Hadar, Rav Yosef, Rabba and Rav Yosef, or Sinai and Oiker Har. So they didn't know who to appoint as the Rosh Yeshiva. So they wrote to Eretz Yisrael to ask for an opinion as who should be the Rosh Yeshiva. Should we take the Bucky, or should we take the Lamdan, the Sinai or the Oiker Har? Sinai v'Oiker Har, this was Shochel Lahasam, Sinai v'Oiker Har, Ezem Ahem Koidem. Shochel Lahem, so they wrote back at Shuvah that Sinai Koidem, take the Talmud Chacham, the one who knows everything, Shakol Shricha L'Marichatyu, because everybody needs the stuff. Like, everybody needs to know Torah. The Lamdan, leave it alone. Afal Pikain, says the Gemara. So who's the Rosh Yeshiva now? Rav Yosef was going to be the Rosh Yeshiva. So the Gemara, Afal Pikain, like people all love Rav Yosef. Rav says, it's very nice that you elect to be Rosh Yeshiva. I don't want to be the Rosh Yeshiva. How about asking me? It's like my ticket. How about you asking? I don't want to be the Rosh Yeshiva. The Amrile Kaldai, because the astrologist had told him that Malachta Tartin Shnid, that he gets to be the Melech for 12 years. So what happened? Rabba became the Rosh Yeshiva. Malach, Rabba, Esrin, V'tartin Shnid. Rav Yosef patiently waited. I'm sorry. Yes, Rav Yosef patiently waited for 22 years, and then after that, after the 22 years, Rav Yosef became the Rosh Yeshiva. He was already then by then probably an old man. Malach, Rav Yosef, Tartin Shnin Upalka. And he was the Rosh Yeshiva exactly for 12 and a half years, and he died. 2 years, rather. I'm sorry, Tartin Shnin, yes. Thank you. So meaning if he would have become the Rosh Yeshiva, so he would have lived 2 years.
Would have died young.
He would have died young. So he says, let me wait. I'll do without the covet right now. And he lived an extra Malach Rabba Esrin B'tartin Shnin. Esrin B'tartin Shnin, how many?
That's Rav, 22.
Yeah, 22. Malach Rav Yosef Tartin Shnin Upalva. Kol Hanach Shni de Malach Rabba Afilu Umna Lebeise like Kara. And during those years, all those years, he never even needed a doctor. Like he never got sick, never did anything. So this is the Gemara's example of don't push it, wait for your turn. Wait for your time.
Problem is, Gemara, you're looking from both sides. If he was nominated to be the Rosh Yeshiva, it was his time. He was there for that.
He went with the astrologers.
Whatever he went to, but it was his time. He was nominated. Why didn't he accept? He would have been 14 and a half years Rosh Yeshiva.
Yep.
That doesn't really answer the question of someone.
You're not an American, is he? Like, you remember President Johnson?
Yeah, I'm not going to run.
Yeah. If nominated, I will not run. If elected, I will not serve. Like a person is a Baal Bechira, you know that it's a lo bishvili. And what your heart is telling you is more important than what all the external people are telling you. But why don't you read this Gemara? Listen to the Pirush of Rav Kook on Brachas Ein Hayom. Says Rav Kook, Omer Rav Avin Halevi, Kol Adoichi Kesashah Shah Doichaktoi, V'Kol Anitchem Neh Shah Shah Medasai. Kol Adam, that's Rav Kook. This will end. Kol Adam Shu Muchal Lifol Gedolos. If you are a person that is destined for great things, Kol Adam Shu Muchal Lifol Gedolos. Hu Chash B'Nafshay, he feels within himself, Eza Kisharoin Pnimi L'Zeh. There's something going on inside of him. He knows that I can make this change. I can do it. I can change the world. Gedolos. V'zeh Kishrain, and this talent that he has, Ma'oyrosei Lavei L'Matarosei, pushes me, awakens me, inspires me to move towards this goal of fixing the world in the way that I'm making the tikkun I can make. I'm just dying to use this talent that I have. Strong word, right? But a person can feel this tchuna. So says Rav Kook, Sarach, when you have this feeling, you have to remember this. Make sure you wait for the right time. Just because you're feeling like you're bursting at the seams, you're bubbling, I want to make this change, it might not be the right time. But if you wait for the right time, then everything will come together, and you will be reveal yourself, if you will. You'll get involved when you're supposed to get involved. So Vashen Kain, if he short circuits this, and he's dochek es hasha, it won't be right. Don't you see this? Like you see this so often. It came out of the incubator too early. Yes, there could have been godless over here. There could have been godless. It's Avshalom. This is what he's saying. The story of Avshalom is that he was margish, probably L'Shem Shamayim, he was margish that he's the melech. But it wasn't the time for him to be the melech. So when it was the time to be melech, you have to be mashkid, that ruach, and not push the time. If it comes out too early, you're really not roy adayin lo. So just because you know that you have a seed of readiness, just so you know you have a talent, doesn't mean that you're there yet. Odlo. I remember the very, 25 years ago, I went to buy a kind of hat I wear on Shabbos, like a brim-up hat. Decided I'm going to wear a Hammer 30 years ago. So I went to Borough Park. I went and he gave me a hat, and he said, I looked at it. I said, okay. He says, not okay. He takes out, goes to the back, takes out one with a wider rim. So I said, oh, that looks much better. So I said to him, maybe have a wider one next year. Like, don't push it here. So you have to be like the way I understand it. Like your panemius has to match your chitzonius. Otherwise, you're wearing a baguette which is too big. It looks silly in that baguette. You have to come up to that baguette. So the baguette for Avshalom was Malchus Beis David. That was the baguette for Avshalom, but it was too big on him when he felt he wanted to wear that baguette. Everything has to go in its time. I told you this. Rav told me that somebody came to him. Did I mention this to you? That somebody came to him and he said that he's 70 years old. And he went to the Rav and he said, I'm 70 years old. I'm a little worried. But Shivim was Zikna, now I'm a Zakein, I'm 70 years old. So the Rav told him, the Ben Arbaim Labina didn't seem to work with you, so don't worry about the Ben Shivim. But the point is that hey, you can't push things. Everything Akol Bizman Hanachon says, as the Rav Kook says. How do you know when it's the right time? When you see it's not going, it's not going. The reason why there's a michshol, and the reason why it's not working out, you haven't been elected, is because HaKadosh Baruch Hu is guarding the tzibor from your hanhaga. I feel like I'm ready to do it. Maybe I'm just feeling it, it's just a potential, I'm not there yet. What will happen is as he gets closer to it, he'll become more shalem, and even closer to his shlemus. And then the rabbim will have serious hana from him. So, Dorim, to answer your question, I think that just to back off because it's too hard work or like I don't want the pressure, so that's not an eitzah. But to back off because I'll be able to do better in a year or 2 years. Let me learn a little bit more. Let me grow a little bit more. Let me untwickle a little bit more than I am. L'shem Shamayim. So then Hashoy Medeslay, that time will sit there waiting for you. It's like a school for Arichas Yamim. That's what you see from Rabbi Yosef. It's a school for Arichas Yamim because we're as much as everybody says like nobody is. What's the word? There's nobody who can't be replaced. What's the word I'm looking for?
Irreplaceable.
Indispensable. Nobody's indispensable. So I was actually talking, I'll tell you one more Weissel here, I was talking to a Hasidic Rebbe last night, I won't mention his name because, he told me he doesn't feel good. He doesn't feel good. So I said to him, what's the matter? He explained to me what's the matter. So I said, look, Klal Yisrael leads you, you have to be healthy, let's daven for you to be healthy. So he said he read the following, he tells me. He says, if you feel that you're indispensable, so do the following experiment. He says, take a bowl of water and put it in front of you, and then put your thumb right in the middle of the bowl of water, and then remove your thumb and observe the hole you made. So his point is, nobody's indispensable. He really didn't do anything, but he is indispensable. The point is that I disagree here. We are all indispensable. Everybody's indispensable for their tachlis and for their right thing, but you can't push it
At the right time.
At the right time. Everything's at the right time. That's the klal of the Tomer Devorah, and this 3 words. Yeah.
Hasnil ben Knas was it's the same example that he waited to Yeshua before he brought back.
Right. Good example. Yeah.
So it's Nayara, which is the same thing.
Not the Baviu.
Yeah.